A sidewall's up, level, and secured. It is time to lay out the fourth wall containing the door. Although the entry will appear centered in the wall, I do not want to waste material. So I measure 48 inches from the outside of the right wall. However, because the exterior wall sheathing is 3/8 of an inch, I need to subtract that from 48 inches, or in other words, I mark it at 47 and 5/8 where the door opening begins. I use my speed square to mark both plates. Then I place a piece of scrap 2x4 against the speed square to mark the location of my jack stud. Then I'll move over to that line and, still using the scrap piece, mark the wall stud location. I write J and S to indicate the stud types. Before marking the other side of the opening, I need to verify that my rough opening measurements. Note that this door is pre-hung, which means it has a 3/4 inch casing. I measure from the outside edge to outside edge, which is 43 and 3/8 of an inch. To make the installation easier, I will make my rough opening about a 1/2 inch wider, or 43 and 5/8. I also need to know the rough opening of my door height, so I measure from the top of the casing to the bottom of the metal threshold. The measurement is 81 inches, but I need a little room to slide the door into the opening, so I'll add a 1/2 inch. Now I've verified my rough opening measurements, I can move to the other side of the door opening and mark the studs. I know the rough opening is 43 and 5/8, so I place the speed square on my first jack stud and then measure over 43 and 5/8 and mark it. I mark the left jack stud and wall stud locations just like the other side. Although not shown, I mark the remaining studs, measuring in from the outside walls to ensure the studs are 16 on center. With the door and wall stud locations marked, I need to cut the wall studs, and to do that, I need additional measurements to ensure my wall is no higher than 96 inches. I measure the combined thickness of the 2x4 plate, bottom plate, top plate, and the tie plate, and I add the 3/4 inch plywood floor and the 2x4 joist. Together, these add up to 8 3/4 of an inch, which means I need to cut my studs at 87 1/4, so that I am ensured that I have no more than a 96 inch high wall. However, I want my sheathing to be about an inch below the floor joist, so I'll end up cutting my studs at 86 inches. In the wall studs, I want to identify the crown, so I look down the wood. If you look closely, you will see the wood bows up slightly. That bow is called the crown. Wood withstands compression forces better when the crown is up. Therefore, always build rafters and floor joists with the crown up. While compression is not as much of an issue with walls, if you want your walls to look uniform, always place the crowns in the same direction. Most builders will tell you to face the crowns out. Once you've determined the crown, mark the lumber with an arrow. That way, as you construct walls or floors, you can quickly ensure the crown is up. With my wall studs cut, it is time to assemble the wall. To not waste material, I measured for my first 16 on center mark from the outside of the side wall. The studs are then 16 on center after that. Before nailing each stud, eyeball it to ensure that you've centered it on the 16 on center mark. And also be sure that the stud and the plate are even. While lumber is supposed to be exact, you might find slight differences in width. Use your thumb to check for flushness. Push the stud down or pull it up slightly as needed. Once everything aligns, go ahead and secure it using 2 nails. With all studs nailed in place, it's time to stand the wall up and secure it. I use a wood block to ensure the wall is flush with the outer edge. After securing the wall to the floor and side walls, I cut out the 2x4 in the door opening.
Fastening the top plates is the last step to complete the walls.